Namaste and welcome everyone. I'm Carrie from Element Yoga and Ayurvedic Wellness. And today's practice is intended for the first few days of your menstrual flow. So this is a really grounding and gentle practice focusing on the movement of prana that in yoga and Ayurveda we call apana. Apana is the down and out movement of prana. And apana is also important for just grounding and feeling more connected anytime that we feel elevated vata. So those times when we feel a little nervous or anxious or just disconnected. So you really can practice this sequence anytime, not just during your menstrual flow, but I did specifically write it for those first couple of days of flow. So make sure you have some props. A couple of blocks are always handy, a couple of blankets. If you have something weighted, I have these nice little sandbags here, but if you have a weighted blanket or something a little bit heavier at home that you can use during your shavasana, grab that. If not, no worries, just grab a blanket. And then also, if you have a bolster at home, you can use that. Otherwise, a couple of blankets will work. We're going to start seated with the right shin crossed in front of the left shin. Closing your eyes, sitting up tall, take a breath in, extend the length of your exhale, and really feel your sitting bones grounding either into your blankets or into the earth where you're seated. Take another breath in, and then as you exhale, focus on lengthening the breath out. One more breath in, and a slow, long breath out. And the next time that you inhale, tipping the pelvis forward, lifting the chest, extending the spine, look up. When you exhale, tip the pelvis backwards, round the spine, in flexion. Inhale, a seated version of the cow pose. Tip the pelvis forward, lift the chest, look up. Exhale, a seated version of the cat pose. Tuck the tailbone under, round the spine, chin to chest. Do one more like that. Inhale, extend. And exhale to flex. As you inhale, come back to neutral. Lift the shoulders up. And as you exhale, settle down into your space, connecting to apana, that down and out movement of energy. On your next breath in, move your chest towards your right knee and circle all the way around to the left. Rounding out the spine as you exhale, circling to the back. Inhale, circling right to left. Exhale, circle to the back, left to right. One more rotation in this way, circling front, right to left. Exhaling, circling back, left to right. As you come back into a neutral spine, inhale. Pause in your exhale, and again, connect to that down and out release of energy, a long, slow breath out. On the breath in, reach both arms out and up overhead. Taking a twist to the right when you exhale, let the right hand come behind the hip, the left hand to the right thigh or right knee. Lengthening the spine on the inhale, and then on the exhale, try to extend the length of the breath. Take another breath in. And a slower and longer exhale. One more breath in. And as you exhale, release the twist and turn forward. Breathing in to sweep the arms out and up overhead. On the exhale, release the right hand to the floor beside the right hip. Take a breath in and stretch the left arm up tall. As you exhale, lean towards the right side. Breathing in. Still extending the breath out, really connecting to that down and out flow of apana. Breathe in. And breathe out. Take another breath in and out. And then as you inhale, lift the torso, reach both arms up, join the palms together on the exhale. Bring the hands through heart center, all the way down to the front of your shins. Walk your hands forward and fold out over the legs, breathing in. As you breathe out, let the forehead get heavy and settle towards the earth. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in and out. And as you inhale again, start to lift the torso, sweep the arms out and up overhead. Then exhale to bring the hands together in front of the heart center. Take the hands behind the body, lean back into the hands, uncross the legs. Feet to the floor, let the knees drop a little bit from side to side. And then as you come back to seated, cross the left shin in front of the right shin. So we're just changing the cross of the legs, left in front of right. Taking the hands onto the thighs or the knees. As you inhale, tipping the pelvis forward, extending the spine, lifting the chest. As you exhale, tucking the tailbone under, flexing the spine, taking the chin to the chest. Inhale to reverse. And exhale to reverse. Another breath in, a seated version of the cow pose. And another breath out, a seated version of the cat pose. As you inhale, come back to neutral. And then on the exhale, extend the length, connect to the downward flow. As you inhale again, reach the chest forward and towards the left knee, circle all the way around to the right. On the exhale, round out the spine, circle to the back, right to left. Inhale, circle forward, left to right. Exhale, circle back, right to left. One more rotation, circling forward on the inhale and circling back on the exhale. On an inhale, come back to neutral. On the exhale, connect to the downward flow. Breathing in to reach the arms out and up overhead. Preparing for twisting to the left. As you exhale, the left hand comes behind the hip, the right hand to the left thigh or knee. Breathing in to lengthen. Breathing out to rotate. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And when you breathe out, release the twist and turn forward. Breathing in to sweep both arms out and up over the head. Exhaling as the left hand comes to the ground on the outside of your left hip, stretching through the right fingertips. Breathe in. As you breathe out, lean towards the left. Inhale. And exhale. Breathe in. And breathe out. Take one more breath in and out. On an inhale, come all the way back up to seated, reach up. Join the hands together. As you exhale, pull the hands down through the heart center, all the way to the ground in front of your shins. Walk your hands forward and fold. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, let your forehead get heavy towards the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. Another breath in and out. Take one more breath in and out. And as you inhale again, start to lift the torso up. Sweep the hands out and up overhead. Exhale, connecting to that downward flow of prana called apana as the hands come through the heart center. Take the hands behind the back, lean back into your hands, uncross the legs. Both feet on the floor as you alternate, sweeping the shins right and left. Good. As your knees start to point back up towards the ceiling, make your way over to downward facing dog. As you come into downward facing dog, we're going to prepare for squatting pose or malasana. So it might be nice to have some blocks a little closer to the back of your mat so that you can do a more supported version of malasana, building yourself a little seat. So if you'll slide your blocks to the back of your mat and have them there so that you can reach them. And then once you make your way onto your hands and knees, tuck your toes. And then lift your seat back and up, coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog. Take a moment to shift and wiggle in any ways that feel good to your body. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale. And a slow breath out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And then as you inhale, look towards your hands. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. As your heels come to the ground, turn your heels in. And then once you get back into this wide-legged forward fold with the toes out and the heels in, grab a block or two. I'm going to use 2 blocks at their lowest height, stacked one on top of the other. Place them between your legs and just a little bit back behind you. Take your hands to the floor or your shins. Inhale as you lengthen your spine. When you exhale, start to bend your knees lower down into Malasana. Just look back there for the blocks that you stacked. Let your hips come all the way down to the blocks. Lift your chest, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Press your elbows out into your knees and press your knees back into your elbows. Take a breath in. And then here, really connect to that downward flow, apana. Feeling the prana move down and ground you to the earth. Feeling the downward release. Feeling the downward movement of elimination. Take one more breath in and out. And then from here, we're going to come to seated. So it may or may not look very graceful, and grace is not the point here. So we're going to come back down to seated by moving the blocks out from underneath. Place them off to the side. Take the hands to the floor either in front or behind. I like one in front and one in back. And then lower all the way down to seated. Scoot into the middle of your mat. And then recline all the way down to your back. As you recline down to your back, keep your left foot down on your mat. Bring your right knee to your chest. Just hug that right knee in, compress the belly a little bit with the thigh, and then release the left hand off of the knee. So you're holding the right knee with just the right hand, and begin to slowly circle the right hip just a few times in one direction. And then reverse and circle the right knee a few times in the opposite direction. And then as your knee comes back in towards your chest, hold the knee with the right hand, keep the knee bent, and just open the right knee out to the side. If the left leg is still bent, try stretching the left leg straight ahead. Good. Take a breath in and out with the right leg stretching over to the right side. And then reach your left hand all the way across to hold on to your right knee. As you exhale, roll all the way over to your left side, taking this right knee down to the floor, a block, or a blanket, letting the chest roll open towards the ceiling, the right hand reaching to the right side of the room. Breathe in and breathe out. Take another breath in and breathe out. Inhale again one more time here in the twist. And then as you exhale, start to rotate onto your back. Keep hugging the right knee in towards the chest and then interlace the hands behind the right thigh. And as you inhale, stretch your right heel up towards the ceiling, just any amount that feels good. So don't worry about the right knee being straight or bent. Just stretch through the heel any amount that's feeling good in your body during this practice. Take one more breath in. And then as the right knee bends back towards the chest, sweep the left knee in, hugging both knees to the chest. If it feels good, you can lift your forehead, touch your knees, squeeze tight. And then as you rest back down on the floor, place your right foot down on the mat. Keep holding your left knee in towards your chest with your left hand and make some circles with your left hip. Just a few big circles in one direction. And when you've gone a few in that way, change the direction, circle back the other way. And when your knee comes back into your chest, hold there, left hand on the left knee, keep the left knee bent, but open the left knee off to the side, almost like you're trying to take your knee to the armpit. And then see how it feels to stretch your right leg forward along your mat. Pausing here to breathe in and breathe out. And then stretch your right hand all the way across to hold your left outer knee. Roll yourself all the way over to your right side so the knee comes down to the floor, a block or a blanket. Keep the chest rolling open towards the ceiling. Stretch the left arm over towards the left side of the room. Breathe in. And breathe out. Inhale. And exhale. Take one more breath in. And when you breathe out, start to roll onto your back. Keep the left knee in towards the chest. Interlace the hands behind the thigh. And as you inhale, stretch that left leg up to the ceiling, any amount that feels good. Breathing here. Take one more breath in. And then as you hug the left knee to the chest, bring the right knee up to meet it. Hug both knees in, rock a little bit from side to side or move the knees around in circles. Again, if it feels good, squeeze your forehead up to touch your knees. And then as you release the head, the shoulders, the feet back down to the ground, stretch your right arm up alongside your right ear. Roll all the way over to your right side, using your right arm as a little bit of a pillow to support your head. Just pause there on your right side like you're going to curl up and take a nap. And then use your left hand and press yourself all the way back up to a seated position. As you come up to seated, you might want to grab your blocks and your bolster and just have both of those things handy. We're going to come into a yin version of Baddha Konasana. In yin yoga, we call this the butterfly. So we're going to have the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And then the heels are going to be rather far away from the pelvis. So you have a big triangular shape that you've created with your legs. You can use blocks underneath of the knees or underneath of the thighs for support, or you can use rolled up blankets here and use your blocks to support your bolster. So you can support the legs in any way that you need to. Also, if you don't need support, that's fine too. So you can just leave the thighs and the knees unsupported. The way that I like to use the bolster here is to place one block on the inside of my heels at the highest height, grab the bolster and lean it towards that block so there's a ramp away from me. And then I'm just holding onto my ankles, rounding my spine forward, and my chin comes to rest on the bolster. So you can arrange the props in any way that feel good for you. We're not really going for a huge stretch here, but we're not quite in a restorative posture either. So there's a little bit of stretch in the hips, with the knees open in this way, the pelvis getting some space. On your exhalation, again, focus on that down and out, release. Apana, responsible for elimination. Moving fluids out of the body, moving waste out of the body. Apana is even responsible for moving toxic thoughts out of the body. All forms of elimination. Extend your exhalation and focus on that down and out movement. We'll be here for just another couple of breaths, but if you have time and you'd like to stay in this position longer, I invite you just to pause your recording for now, maybe even set a timer so you know how long you have here. Spend as much time in this butterfly position as it feels comfortable for you to do. And then resume the video when you're ready to move on. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and lift up out of this butterfly position. Lift up the bolster, move out the block. And then we're going to come around to a child's pose. Again, I'm going to use the bolster. If you don't have a bolster at home, you might just stack up some blankets. And I like to have the bolster just flat on the mat, but you could build a ramp with a block at the far end of the bolster. So the bolster is ramped toward you in your child's pose. You'll come into child's pose, kneeling down with the bolster just in between the knees, and then folding forward onto your prop. You can turn the head to one side or the other. Again, we'll take just a couple of breaths in this supported child's pose, but if you have extra time, you're invited to pause the video. Stay here for as long as it feels nice in your body, and then resume your video and move on. If you have your head turned to one side, slowly lift it and turn it in the opposite direction. And again, if you have more time to stay here, please feel free to pause the video. Stay as long as you like. And then when you're ready to move on, slowly press yourself up and away from the bolster. We're going to move all of those things off to the side and prepare for Shavasana. So we'll start by coming down onto the back. You're welcome to have a bolster to place under the knees nearby if you'd like that. Also a blanket for underneath of the head if you'd like that. We're going to do one bridge pose before we move into Shavasana. So just have the props close by, but not underneath of you just yet. As you recline down onto your back, have the knees bent, both feet on the floor. Arms at the sides with the palms down or holding the edges of the mat. As you press your feet down, lift your hips any amount that feels good to you. And then if you're holding the mat, you can pull from side to side to engage the upper arms and externally rotate the shoulders. If your hands are just at your sides, turn your palms down, press down. And again, engage the upper arms, draw the shoulder blades underneath. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, lower all the way down. If you'd like, you can bring a bolster underneath of your knees, a blanket underneath of your head. And then I recommend if you have an extra blanket, you have a weighted blanket, or you have one of these nice little sandbag weights, that you take your weight, your extra blanket, or whatever it is that you have, maybe even just a pillow, and place that pillow or weight or blanket right over the front of your pelvis. So you want to add a little extra weight, a little extra grounding effect to the front of the pelvis. Rest the arms out to the sides, close the eyes, take a deep breath in. When you exhale, one more time here, connect to that downward, outward release. If you have several minutes for Shavasana, again, pause, set your timer, and stay here for as long as you can. We'll stay here just for about a minute or two. But I do invite and encourage you to stay longer if you have the time available. And then begin to deepen your breath. Slowly move your toes and your fingers. If you've placed a weight across the front of your pelvis, carefully move that off to the side. Hug both knees to the chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. Once again, lift the right arm beside the right ear. Roll all the way over to the right side, supporting your head with your arm. And then pressing the left hand into the mat as you slowly make your way back up to seated. Once you come up to seated, find a comfortable seat with the legs crossed and the hands in the lap or together in front of the heart. Take another breath in. And as you release the breath out, connecting to apana, the downward and outward flow of prana. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today.